Welcome back to another episode of the Weekday Saints podcast, where we feature everyday Chattanoogans living out their God-given purpose. Today, we have an amazing young lady who's going to come and talk to us. And she's so dynamic at what she does. I can't even really pronounce what it is.
Yeah, I didn't know the word existed, but anaplastologist. McKenzie Bergenback is an anaplastologist, and it's an amazing, beautiful field that she's a part of that's really actually rare. There's not that many around the country. I'm really excited for her to tell you what she does. But man, it was really fascinating to hear her meld all the gifts God's given her into this role and the way she's able to see people in a holistic way and give them dignity in their life through what she gets to do. So I'm really pumped for you all to hear this episode.
Listen, you're going to be in for a treat. She's a creative genius. And so we're wanting to welcome you into this conversation.
Well, McKenzie, thank you so much for making time to be with us today. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you are. Are you from Chattanooga? How'd you get here? If not, tell us about your story a little bit.
I'm from East Tennessee, not from Chattanooga, but I grew up right outside of Knoxville in a little town called Lenore City. Go Panthers.
Yeah. No, Lenore City.
Yeah, so my dad's from there, and he wanted to raise his family back where he was from. So I went to school in undergrad at Carson Newman, so not too far, still at East Tennessee. And then for grad school, I went up to the Midwest. I went to Chicago and Ann Arbor and spent a few years there in the cold and came back down. I met my now husband, and we moved to Chattanooga. So.
And how long have you been here now?
7 years, 8 years.
Wow.
A while.
Yeah.
It's flying by. We were just talking about that. Time's crazy.
That's awesome.
Fly by.
That's
yeah.
Awesome. Well, tell us, we'll dive into a little bit more of your story, but tell us a little bit about what you do for work.
Yeah. So for work, I have a really crazy job.
Superhero.
I don't know about that. My brain's all over the place. I got left brain, I got right brain. And so I was kind of like, how do I put this art and science stuff together? And I was art and pre-med in undergrad, and I was looking for some sort of program to combine them, and happened upon this field called anaplastology. So Ana's anatomy, plastics, molding, making, the study of. So it's this rare field. There's only about 50 people in the United States who do this because we're weirdos. But we make custom, lifelike, artistic prosthetics for people. Most of them are non-weight bearing, so eyes, noses, ears, some fingers, some toes, some skins that go over, some weight bearing devices. Maybe some partial hands, partial feet, stuff like that. But our goal is really to kind of create this wholeness, this sense of the patient feeling like themselves again through this really realistic restoration.
I said she was a superhero.
That's right.
Right? She gets to
I don't know about that.
gets to create. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So you said you had some artistic background. You had an interest in science. Talk to us more about that.
Yeah.
How those two worlds kind of blended for you.
My mom's an artist, and she's been an art teacher in school systems for decades. She's retired now. And then my dad's mom's an artist. So I think it was always there from when I was little. Just loved creating, loved that creator's energy, just was always doodling and painting and sculpting and all sorts of things. And when I was in undergrad, I'd actually planned to go to med school and just do strict medicine. And when I got to Carson Newman, they were like, okay, pre-med is an emphasis, but you have to pick a major. And so they were like, pick something that you're good at and you can make an A in. I was like, all right. So I was like, let's do some art. And it was really just kind of a side thing of okay, this will be good to just get my mind off these heavy science classes. And then my senior year is when I found out about this path, this career field. And I was like, oh my gosh, this feels right. This feels good. This feels like a good combination of my skills and talents and giving back with them. I feel like I probably could have gone into medicine or strictly art, but it wasn't my secret sauce, Yeah. It's what do you have that you can combine and then give back with? So that was really cool to find that field. And then the program in Chicago, they accepted 2 people. And I was like, Lord, if this is supposed to happen, it's going to happen. And that's when I like pulled out of the med school interviews and was like, if I get in, I'm going, and I'm going to take this as a sign. And my interview in Chicago, I just felt this overwhelming peace walking down the streets of like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. And the curriculum was tough. We were like in science courses with all the PT students and the med students and the dental students. And then we had all of our arts kind of separately. And then we had our clinical classes too, where we were like seeing patients and stuff. So it's like all 3 combined.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me about that decision of saying, hey, mom and dad, I know it looks like I was going to go to med school, this really stable thing that makes sense to, I think I'm going to take this step of faith in a field that I'm learning about that feels like a good fit, but only 50 people in the country do it. What was it like to take those first steps of trust in that direction?
Honestly, I feel like there was like this dissonance in the med school route. Like it felt like there was something there that like wasn't exactly clicking. And I think my parents saw that in me too. It was like harder than it should have been, you know? It was like all this struggle just trying to make it work. And it was last minute interviews that I was like getting really excited about, and then it was like it just doesn't feel right. And I remember also just like sitting in the interview and being like, you know, you're in there with all these other candidates and they're talking about themselves and, you know, just their hobbies and whatnot. And like all I was talking about were things that weren't medicine. It was like the art stuff. And I was a college athlete. And like, so just like all these like varied things. And then just kind of made me step back and be like, okay, I think we're all more like multi-passionate than we admit. And the world tries to like make us hone in on one thing.
Yeah.
And there's that pressure to do that. And I think my parents were okay with me, you know, kind of exploring what does it look like to be a multi-passionate person in a career field.
Yeah.
And they loved the program. I mean, they were like, oh, this is you. And that makes you feel really seen because they know that like, actually, that might have been not you. You're trying to fit into this mold and you're not in a mold or you may be one of 50. Yeah. Yeah.
We hear a lot, especially as believers. Someone spoke in a previous or a different episode. They spoke about being put in boxes and all the things we're supposed to do, right? The path that people say that God has charted for us, and then God reveals to us something totally different.
For sure.
I hear your heart in everything. I watch you light up every time you talk about what is it about this work that you just love? Like, what is it about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. As you can imagine, it is super rewarding work. So to be a part of the process of letting someone feel like themselves again, that's really what drives me. And it's hard work. I mean, not only technically, but also just the hours that it takes. It's super meticulous. Every patient's different. Every problem is unique. And I always say it challenges the weakest parts of me, which is like perfectionism, expectations, like, delivering a perfect result and having them be so happy. A lot of people are like, oh, your work is life-changing. And it is. And the flip side of that is like, there's a heavy weight there of like, I have their life, you know, I have their psychosocial awareness. I have their, you know, the way that they show up in the world, the way that they see themselves. Identity is a big thing. It's not just how we look in the mirror. There's this visceral reaction when we see someone with a facial difference. And I think there's reasons for that, you know, the media shows all these characters that are bad, right? Like you see the scar across the face or like half burned, like all these things. And so it's like innately in us that like this isn't human or this is wrong and this is bad and like their character is bad. And so these people are walking through life with like immediate judgments that are sometimes just like involuntary from outsiders, right?
Right.
And so the work that we do is way more than just cosmetic. And that's what drives me is the restoration, this restorative nature of this work of not making them look better, but making them just feel like themselves again. Yeah.
That's really good.
Wow.
Because this is such a rare field, and I know when we met last time, I learned a ton. Talk about the process of getting to where you meet a patient or a client that you're going to work with to the handing them this prosthetic that they're going to use.
Yeah.
What are all the things that have to go in between?
There's a million steps
Yeah.
from A to Z, so I won't get into the minutia, but it's a lot of chair time. It's a lot of face-to-face. It's a lot of I'm sitting there, I'm listening to their story. It's not just this like crafting of something. Like I think there's a lot of like this conversation and relationship that gets built, and that's really beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts of the work that I do. Sitting with them. So from start to finish, it's we take impressions, we sculpt, we paint, we color match their skin tones. If I'm sculpting an ear, it might take me a week to sculpt. And if I'm matching your colors, I see 5 different shades I want to put in there, plus some, you know what I mean? And so it's like, there's this really cool, like you can tap into this creator's energy of just like being in awe of the body. And I think that's what I always loved about medicine was like it was how everything was intricately working together and like how beautiful just this creation is of like, man, no, the curves in your ear are there for a reason, and it directs sound and it drains, and it's just like as I'm sitting there sculpting it, like sometimes I just like well up because I'm like, this is so cool. It's this moment of awe of just creation. So then you do all this art. It's basically like a 3D portrait. You're sitting for a portrait. So you're in my chair for a while. We get a lot of chair time together, and then we'll deliver it at the end, usually about 4 visits or so for the patient. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, you're not just looking at a picture of them. This is intimate time that you're getting to know this person.
It is. And honestly, for the results, I think that's important. Like from a technical perspective, there's something called metamerism where you buy a pair of navy pants at the store and you get home and they're black, right? And it's just how the lighting is. And so to be able to sit with them in real life, in person, is the best way to create like a more seamless result as well.
This is, I didn't know. I don't know, Jonathan. Maybe you did. I didn't know this profession or this vocation even existed. I know people get prosthetics, but like to know that, like I heard you say the word creation, and like I literally started thinking and welling up because this is a blessing. Like those 50 of you in this country, right, who get to do this work. It's like being able to stand and like God like is in front of you as the creator. And he's giving you a eye. I don't have that eye. I'm talking to Jonathan. I'm like, yeah, Jonathan has ears.
Listen,
I don't know that. But I'm like, I don't even know that Jonathan has ears. I'm just gonna assume he has it, right? But like to say that you're looking at God's creation, His creature, trying to do your humanly possibly best work, to get that person back to feeling like that original creation.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling. It's a feeling I stay in awe of, which, I mean, and I say that like it's not just rainbows and sunshine and God creator energy,
right?
Like, there's a lot of deep imposter syndrome and like, do I really have it? Well, that's the thing too. You're like trying to recreate what God created. Like I'm never going to be perfect.
Correct.
It's never going to be as seamless as I want it to be because it's not real skin. It's not their body. It didn't just grow back, And so I'm constantly fighting that expectation for myself. So yeah, it feels like double-edged almost,
I wonder, I mean, too, being one of only 50 people in the country, I'm sure there's probably some nearby here, but regionally, I'm sure there's not a ton of people that know exactly what you do.
Yeah. And that is one of the biggest challenges. It's like, what do you want people to know about the field? Well, first of all, I want them to know it exists, right? It's like a lot of people don't even know, even healthcare professionals. You'd be surprised at like, you go around and you like hand out brochures and whatnot, and they don't even know that it's an option for patients. People that are in related fields like ENT or plastic surgery, and we're not in competition with any of them. We actually see patients that are no longer candidates for surgery. So they've been told they don't have any other option. It's a lot of times cancer patients, it's a lot of times trauma patients or children with birth differences, conditions where maybe their ear didn't develop all the way. And so we'll see mostly those. So like trauma, gunshot wounds and burns and all sorts of different dog bites, all sorts of crazy things. But we're often the end of the road of treatment for them. So it's like they've gone through multiple surgeries. They're left with what they're left with. And it's like the doctor's kind of like, all right, we don't have anything else that we can do for you. And then that's when we come in and like, okay, let's use art and medicine together. And the beautiful thing about anaplastology is that we have complete control over the form and the color, when things go right. But like, compared to plastic surgery, where the other alternative is like taking rib cartilage and recreating, an ear or something like that. The scarring, the way that it heals, like they do their best, but they don't always have control over how it looks in the end.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
If, as a person of faith doing this field, I wonder if there's any scriptures that really resonate or theological understandings about who God is that kind of you can feel in your work on a really tangible way, or
For sure.
come up.
For sure. I think I have a really good story. One of my like faith building moments happens to tie to a verse that I didn't know before. And it was told to me by a man that I had never met before. And I was at the beginning of my career. I had just opened a practice in Knoxville, and like nothing was going right. I just felt like, God, you put this vision in my heart, and then everything feels like a shut door. Like, why? Like, why is everything so hard? Like, insurance was so hard to get reimbursed. Like, I felt like I was screaming from the mountaintops and still not getting patients in the door. And it was just like, I've done everything. Like, why isn't this working? Like, I'm trusting you. And I went to this service called Love War. It was like downtown Knoxville. Actually, United Pursuit used to run it. So this beautiful music, and it was just kind of like this very organic service where you can stand, you can sit down, you can sing, you can pray, you can do whatever. And I was just weeping that whole night, just feeling like so left alone. It was just like, man, like, why is this so hard? And it was a low season for me. There was other personal things going on, but it just was culminating in this like, God, are you there moment?
Yeah.
And when I left the service that night, this man approached me, this toothless man. I love that detail because I feel like God uses toothless people in my life. It's happened multiple times to like speak. I'm like, you are an earth angel, and I know it because you don't have any teeth. Let's go. And so he stopped me and he's like, hey, God told me I need to tell you this. And I was like, okay, stopping right here, And he said, for still the vision awaits its appointed time. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay.
Wow.
And I was like, immediate chills all over my body. And like, I can hear him saying it like it was yesterday. And I've repeated that verse over and over and over again. And it was just this faith-defining moment for me of like, when I felt alone, God showed up. I didn't necessarily get it's going to happen right now, but it wasn't an empty wait. It was a full wait. It was it will come, and you just got to stay the course.
Wow.
And learn my lessons along the way. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a verse in Habakkuk, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't help but go, I wonder this experience that you had and this verse spoken over you in so many ways, in a different way, the people that are coming to see you have been waiting. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this sense of what you experienced. You're getting to be the toothless man in the story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? With what you give them in that gift.
Yeah.
There's been a waiting for that comes in that moment. And,
Yeah.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah. And there's a real humility in it, of like, we think about a toothless person. I work with people without body parts all the time, but there's like this like humility of that we laugh about and lightheartedness.
Yeah.
But then But then there's like, it mirrors this humility that I have to have in my work. We kind of mentioned this before. It's like when my work is good, it is invisible.
Yeah.
And as an artist, that's something you got to grapple with day to day.
Right.
Yeah. And so there's a humility there. Like you said, I have to be the humble person as the messenger, as the, like facilitator of healing. Yeah.
When my work is good, it's invisible. Isn't that like God though?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not likening you two, but I'm just saying
No.
the pattern.
But the same with
Right.
the toothless man. Like
Yeah.
we don't see this
Yeah.
as like we see it as lesser. We don't, I think about homelessness and people that are unhoused, and that's a big thing. Is that I don't get looked in the eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
They're invisible. They're not being seen.
Right.
It's true, and it mirrors that, and that is a big part of my work is letting people feel seen, and that means everything. We know that.
Yes.
To feel known and loved and seen.
That
That's huge.
was actually where I was going to ask you, like, what is it that about your work that you wish people knew? That it exists, but
yeah.
right. But what about your work? I mean, you've given us so much from your heart of why you do what you do, but what about your work would you want people to know that you don't think people know?
I think I've touched on quite a bit of that, but probably the thing that I want people to know is a successful result isn't necessarily someone wearing this prosthesis every day. It's someone feeling like themselves again. So I like to tell my patients and other people, like if someone feels whole without this, that's also success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if I make this beautiful ear for you and it's perfect and it's seamless and it blends in and you don't want to wear it because you feel good, that's success too. And so from an outsider's perspective, I think treating people as whole, even without that. So there's kind of a little bit of a dichotomy there in the work that I do is like, yes, I want you to feel like yourself again, but if my hands don't have to touch that, then great, you're happy. Yeah, I think about the technical side of things that I want people to know. It's like, this is very time intensive. It's very, technical work. There are problems that I have to solve all the time I've never seen before because every patient is different. Every case is different. Every anatomy is different. And that takes a lot of self-trust, and that's hard. I don't have that naturally. I have an inner critic that's pretty loud.
I can relate with that.
Yes. So trust in yourself to be able to solve the problem that's in front of you. I mean, even this past week, I felt like I was just so in my head about this case that I was working on, and I was just like, oh, is this worth it? Just like I'm up late, I'm in the lab every night. Like you can hear it in my voice today. I'm tired. It's been a week. And it's that moment, that turmoil where you're like in the middle and you're like, I don't know how to solve this problem, but I'm on a time crunch and I got to figure it out. And then you kind of get over the hill, you figured it out, and you're just like, oh, okay. And you do that again and again and again and again. And that builds trust. Like seeing that, same as like God showing up.
Yeah.
It's building faith in yourself. It's building faith that like you're not going to be left alone. And yeah.
No, that's really good. I just a couple things that I've been thinking about as you've been talking. That piece of the person feeling whole, whether they wear the prosthetic or not, I think it's huge. But I even think that translates to so many parts of my life. Is like I might not have a physical deficiency, but like I might go, if only I could achieve this in my job, then I'll feel fullness.
Yeah.
Or if only I find
A
the
missing
right,
piece.
I find the right spouse, and the gospel tells us no, we're already completely full in God, and in a lot of ways, what you get to do, and what I love about your job is, you're looking at someone that maybe is coming to you feeling deficient, and you're helping them imagine their wholeness. That you're seeing it before maybe they can see it.
Definitely.
And that's it. I mean, for me, when I think about no matter if I'm using my hands doing that, I hope that believers around town are doing that. That we don't see the brokenness in others, but we see they're the imago Dei in them.
Yes.
It's created in the image of God that drives us in our work. That I don't have to do something to earn. You don't have to do anything to earn my respect. You have it because of who you are, and you get to do that in a really tangible way.
Yeah.
Man, what a good lesson and a thing for us all to remember. I love that you said that, because that is such a profound statement. That the goal is not for them to have this prosthetics to feel whole again, and that's what we have in Christ already. So anyway, I'm kind of noodle on that some more. Thanks for saying that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you gave us kind of your favorite Bible. Would you consider that your favorite verse, or was that like just something that's an anchor for you?
I feel like it is. I feel like both. Yes, and I feel like it is my favorite verse. My mom was always like, "You need to paint that in your office." Like, she's so funny. But yeah, it's something that I've come back to. And when I was thinking about that, I'm like, what is my favorite verse? I love a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing some Bible study stuff at the mission right now, and we're going through Old Testament, New Testament, all sorts of stuff, and like really digging into the stories have been fun. But when I think about kind of like a life verse, like that really like faith defining moment for me feels true to that verse. Yeah.
So you mentioned you're a person of many, like multifaceted person.
Yeah.
And on top of your work, you have your own side hustle. Do you want to talk about the side hustles you got going on
It's
too?
fun.
I gotta know that.
We're wearing it around our neck.
All right.
Me and one of my best friends, Tiffany Hargis, we created this little charm bar together. So we pop up and we have chains and charms, and people can combine them together to make personalized jewelry. We do necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and it's a super fun, like, when I think about prosthetic work, there's a million steps from A to Z, like I said, and this is like 3. And so it's like such a like easy creative outlet. And it's really community facing, where the prosthetic work's really like isolated. It's like one-on-one time, or if they're not there, it's just me in the lab. Like literally I'm alone. And so this has been a really good flip side to be able to meet a ton of people in the community. And because we are pop-up only, we are relying on other businesses. We have to make relationships with other people to see, can we pop up at your space? Yeah. Can we vend at your market? Can we whatever? So, and then like the charm stuff, it's just so fun because it's like, it is all these little pieces of someone. It's their journey, their memories. They're like, you really get to know someone by just like what's seen around their neck. And it's really fun. It's fun to hear the stories. They're usually good memories. You can kind of like piece together who these people are, and they're like conversation starters. They kind of stop time a little bit. They allow people to kind of go back and they start telling the story of why they picked the thing, or, I love it when it's like really unexpected too. It's like, I picked this pea pod for my dad because, whatever. And it's like really funny inside jokes and like little stories. And it's really positive. It's really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like another way that you get to see people. Like the Lord has wired you to have a heart to be attuned to others. And you're living into that in your work, and in really unique ways. It's not just the normal ways that we would think that you would go about doing that. Yeah. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Complementary ways, like we would put 2 things. So jewelry making.
Yeah.
All right. Prosthetic. Yeah. Creation. All right, those 2 things we wouldn't put together, but I see the creators, like hand on you as a creation to do that.
It feels like that creator's energy, and like when I'm like tapping into like what I feel is like that full self moment, it feels like God is working through me as a vessel, right? It's like I am just a vessel, and then it is like this creator's energy coming through.
He meets you in it. You're not just getting that. You're not just feeling close to the creator on a Sunday morning, which I'm sure you do every once in a while, but in the lab. At the
charm bar.
At the charm bar, and he meets you there. That's really cool. Well, thank you for making time to be with us, to share some of your story, how God's working in your life, learning about new fields today. Like we're
I still don't know that I can say it. Anaplastology.
Look at
anaplastology.
Even learning new words. So thank you so much, McKenzie, for what you do in our community and your work, and how it's just so cool to think about all the people you're getting to be a blessing to. Yeah,
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for thinking about me and, spending time with me too, and getting the word out about some of the work.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
LaQuisha, I always find it fascinating when we get to meet people, one that we didn't know before, that God's using in crazy ways here in our city. And McKenzie's one of those people.
Yes. Listen, McKenzie, when she started talking about the meticulous nature of not only her work in prosthetics, but her work at the Charm Bar, I saw that perfect alignment of God-given talent and gifts to know that you're showing up for people. Yes, you make jewelry and charms, but you've taken this detailed artistry to be able to give people restoration and dignity.
Yeah. And I just felt like something about McKenzie is she has eyes to see how God's working around her through people and others. Even the example of the two toothless men that have spoken into her life, that was really powerful for me to hear. It made me think, what are the toothless men that I'm walking by every day that the Lord's speaking to me through that I'm missing?
Yeah. All of us, every day, we engage with people, and sometimes we take it for granted. I would never have known that this woman, just kind of unsuspecting woman, walking around our city, is restoring lives, people who felt like they will never live their life the way that they knew it before they had that loss.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't want to create something that makes the person feel like they have this appendage, that she wants to create something where it feels like who they were.
Yeah. I just, one of the cool things we're getting to do with this podcast is you see someone and they look like a pretty nice person, and then you hear their story and you're like, no, there's so much power to who they are. And so I just want to encourage people out there, when you tell your story, that's power. And it invites people not only to know you, but get to know your why. And for McKenzie, that's a relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, I love it.
We're so glad you joined in with us on this episode and excited for the next one. So stay tuned for more from Weekday Saints Podcast.